All right, good afternoon, North Carolina. No, I didn't hear you. Good afternoon, North Carolina. Very good. I was just telling the folks in the association, the local associations, when I spoke there this morning, that one of the reasons I decided to settle in the South when I came to the United States when I was a teenager was because of the hospitality that you all have down south. So when I come to speak, I always want to hear that hospitality. So one more time, good afternoon, North Carolina. Thank you so much. Well, you know, I brought this water here, and I have some papers with me. So I'm pretty sure you all were all excited that I'm going to give you this great speech. The bad news is that, you know, I've been traveling quite a bit, and for the past day or so, for some reason, I got what they call, what was it, bronchitis or whatever, and I lost my voice. So I am going to cut my remarks very short, but I have to tell you, I am extremely excited to be here. And this little, you know, sort of a problem couldn't keep me from coming to North Carolina. I want to say, though, you talk about leadership. Ms. Linda Cheatham, the Assistant Secretary, thank you very much for inviting the Department of Labor to participate in this. And this lady and I were supposed to meet in Atlanta, so she came there one morning to meet with me. The meeting was supposed to be around, I think around 10 o'clock. I usually get to work around 7:30. And my special assistant came to me around 7:45, and she said, I have a lady in the front over there that I want to see you. Or she's supposed to meet with you. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to meet with any lady around 7:45 this morning. Linda flew from North Carolina, I believe, to Atlanta, Georgia, and was in my office early in the morning before I got to get out. I just could not believe that, but I think that's the characteristics of a good leader. Not only to be on time, but to be enthusiastic about the things that you do, to be passionate about it. And when she and I met, even though she hasn't been in a job for a long time, she doesn't know a huge about workforce development. She was enthusiastic, passionate about the programs that we fund in the state of North Carolina. So I want for you to please give it to Linda, give a hand to Linda on her staff. And put aside the rest of my remarks, I also want for you to give yourself a hand, but before you do that, let me tell you what. North Carolina has become one of the few states in the 8-state region in the Southeast that we rely on for a number of things. We seek advice from the state, from some of you local workforce board as well as at the state level. In terms of what's happening on the ground, I am a product of a local workforce board. I used to work for a local workforce board in Columbia, South Carolina before I went to the Fed. And one of the things that have been productive for me, and I think the department is, that we only do policies. We don't operate programs. It is you that operate programs, and therefore I think it's always important for us to keep our ears to the ground, to learn from you, to ask you what's going on, so that we will use the information you send to us to develop policy, hopefully when I get back to you, that you can operationalize it. So we seek advice from a lot of local area in the state of North Carolina and from the state level. So I want for you to give yourself a hand for helping the Department of Labor to try to inform our policy-making processes because of the information that you gave to us. So please give yourself a hand. And I just want to, before I make the rest of my remarks, introduce somebody to you who is the liaison between the Federal Department of Labor and here in the state, who comes here to the state level and a number of times to the local level, who is the guy that you all send all your questions to. He is the person who is on the ground for me. I want to come and make speeches and then walk away, but he's the guy who does the real work, Mr. Julian Hardy. Julian, will you please stand up? Julian is what you call a federal project officer. Again, he is our eyes and ear. He worked very closely with Linda and her staff here in the state. Linda, thank you very much for the collaborations that you've had. I just wanted to take the opportunity to do a couple of things. One is to thank you more, which I will talk about a little bit about some of the activities that we've been doing to you all, but also to talk to you about some of the things that we are focusing on at the Department of Labor. One is the area of governance. So we're looking at and focusing on the role and responsibility of the local workforce board. We're focusing on roles and responsibility of the local elected official that receive the fund, but I also provide leadership to you. We are looking at and focusing on the roles and responsibility of those of you that are staff to the local workforce board. Why? Because you're talking about leadership today. Those are three of the functions that really help the leadership structure for workforce development. So that's one of the areas that the department is focusing on. How to train, how to talk about your roles and responsibility, how to give you information about how that is happening in other areas, and how to support you in fulfilling those roles and responsibility. We're also focusing on priority of service. You know, one of the principal things about WIOA when it was enacted by Congress was that the law provides for you all, for the system to provide services to individuals who are in need. We provide services to everybody, but one of the priority focus of WIOA is to provide service to the individuals that are most in need. So priority of service is one of the things that our new Assistant Secretary is very keen on. And in terms of leadership, we just have 2 appointments at the Department of Labor in terms of our leadership that I wanted to talk to you about very quickly. So I don't drink a lot of water, but since I got this problem, I've been drinking more water. Probably that's a good thing. So we got a new secretary, Secretary Eugene Scalia. Secretary Scalia previously actually worked as a solicitor of labor at the Department of Labor. He was sort of the principal legal officer for the Secretary of Labor at that time, Elaine Chao, who worked under the Bush administration. So the new secretary is not new to the department, is not new to the work of the department. Recently also, the Trump administration just confirmed, appointed and confirmed John Polish as the new Assistant Secretary for Employment and Training. Mr. Polish also is not new to the department. He used to work for the department as a special assistant and also as Deputy Assistant Secretary. So he's very familiar with the department. But most importantly, he is actually someone who has workforce experience. At least in my career with the department, this is one of the few assistant secretary that I know that is extremely knowledgeable about the workforce development. He used to work for the state of Kentucky. He was the director there. I worked with him directly. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks before he got confirmed, I went to do a training for him in Lexington, Kentucky. So this guy is very passionate. He is very knowledgeable about our system. And he, I think, is going to be one of the best assistant secretary that we have. So those are two leadership that have, that have emerged at the department. I go back to some of the other things that we are focusing on. Apprenticeship. And again, to the service to individuals that have barriers to employment. Today, as the secretary was saying, the economy is doing great. We have more jobs in this country than people applying for jobs and the people who can fill it. That hasn't happened in a long time. What that means, though, is that at the local level, we are going to have to work with individuals that have a lot of barriers to employment. So priority service is a huge thing. But most importantly, I think it's an opportunity for local workforce board to build even stronger partnership with the business community, to have good relationship with them now, so that when the economy ever turns the other way, that we have a better partnership with them. And now that the labor shortage is an issue, this is the time to be serving individuals that got barriers to employment, that usually will take a little bit more helping hand for them to be able to get jobs. That's one of the reasons that we would need to be focusing on those individuals and also focusing on building better relationship with the business community. One of the other things that we are focusing on is sector strategy. So those of you at the local level, building sector with the business community, utilizing that to bring in businesses, to get individuals that can go into those sectors would be one of the things that not only are we working on, but we hope that you will be working on too. And lastly, second to lastly, I wanted to say thanks to not only the people at the state level, but those of you at the local level, because North Carolina has been extremely good in serving individuals that were impacted by Hurricane Florence. This is a state where we have a lot of good performance from serving individuals with what they call dislocated worker money. When individuals are impacted by a disaster, The state asks for money because local areas say they need the money. When we send it to you, we have gotten great results. So I want for you to please give yourself a hand for providing that service. I also want to thank the state leadership again, because when Hurricane Dorian came around, even though it didn't impact you to the extent where you have to ask for money, but for about 5 or 6 days, we were on the phone with the leadership at the state level to assess what was going on at the local level, just in case you needed money from us. And I want to once again thank Linda, Chet, Lockhart, Antoine, and all of the folks at the state level for being on the phone with us every day, including Saturday and Sunday, when we were having those calls. This is very important to the department. And then lastly, on this issue of leadership, after everybody came out here, all the things I was going to talk about leadership, they've talked about it already, which is about vision. To me, that's what leadership is about. It is about having a passion. That's part of leadership. But I wanted to talk about two things that I think is important in terms of leadership. That is the ability to motivate. You can develop vision, whether you collectively develop that vision for an organization, but not everybody is going to be on board to carry out that vision. But as a leader, your ability to motivate individual towards what the vision is that you need to carry out is extremely important. You don't have to be the manager or director. Everybody can participate in the vision, but you have to be able to motivate people who agree with you, and the one that disagree with you. You have to be able to motivate them to follow the vision for the organization, because if not, it will be difficult for you to achieve whatever the vision is. So the ability to motivate, I think, is one of the huge characteristics of leadership. The other one that I think a lot of people don't talk about is, and for me, is you have to care about people. You really have to care about people. We think about processes and procedures, and those things lead to outcomes. And when you achieve the outcomes, we think we are a leader, but you have to make people feel that despite the fact that they are being paid for whatever work that they are doing, that as an individual you care for them, that their pain is your pain. Their worry is your worry. And I know, we get into leadership position to a point where, you don't feel like you need to come down to people's level because you are up here. I think pure, true leadership is about showing compassion, caring for people, making them feel that you understand and you care about whatever their issues are. And going down from your office to their cubicle and saying hello, good morning, how are you doing? How's your family doing? I think that's leadership. Sometimes we get in a point where when we get to certain positions, we don't do that. And I think that, and I'm still continuing to practice it myself. But to me, that's one of the best characteristics of leadership, is to exhibit to people that you care for them and that they are just like you are and that you are not up here. So hopefully we all can practice that. You don't have to be a director to do that. You can be a frontline staff, care for other people. That's characteristics of leadership. Thank you very much for having us here.